Well, welcome back. First mission of the weekend, I got to build some window trims. So basically, what you're looking at sitting on these sawhorses is enough boards to build one. All right. Now these windows I'm building these trims for in my barn, they're 5 feet long, 3 feet tall. All right. So I bought 6 1x4x6 boards, and that should be enough to do one window. Well, it is. I'll let you in on a secret because those are the boards to do one window, and 6 boards did it. All right. Now these boards are the standard boards at Menards that are 6 foot long, 1x4x6, and they're $1.42 or something like that. All right. So with 6 boards, that tips the scales at like $8.50 some odd cents. And then you figure you got to throw in some pocket screws and some glue. I would say it's going to be under $10 a window. All right. Now I'm no professional at this. I'm not a carpenter by trade. I'm a auto mechanic or auto diesel mechanic. I pick stuff up, put stuff down, righty tighty, lefty loosey. But I built 2 frames to see which way would be easier or which way I preferred. One I cut at a 45-degree angle and joined it. All right. So you see the 45, and there's the inside part of the trim. Now to join it, I did pocket holes. All right. It went pretty easy and I liked it. And I admittedly think this is the better looking joint of the 2. But then I did this joint on my second one where I just did it straight. Oh my gosh, that is so much easier. Not that this was hard, but this you don't even have to think when you're doing it, you know? I guess the only trick I would share on that part of it is, like these 2 boards, I found it easier to cut them all at once. That way you're guaranteed they're exactly the same size. So basically I cut those all at once because it's just the way they screw in. You know, they need to be exactly the same size. What else can I say about that? And then these boards are obviously the longest, the outside trim ones. You know, they're a couple inches longer than the inside ones. So I'll show you building one, how I work the pocket holes, and we'll slap one of these together and we'll go from there. All right, first thing I do is I go through and I pick whatever side I'm going to put the pocket holes on, and I draw an X. All right, just so I know which is the worst side of the board, and I'm okay because no one will ever see it. So I draw my X, and then I go to proceed to cut my pocket holes. So, which is as simple as you do your X facing the side with the guide, you clamp it in, make sure you're constantly looking for that X, because it sucks to like have pocket holes on both sides of the board, because then it becomes firewood. But there's not much excitement to drilling these things. I'll get these all drilled and I'll show you the next step. Now it comes time to screw the first part of the frame together. I've been taking a little dab of glue. A dab will do ya. All right. Now, there's different ways you can do this. I actually have the clamp, you know, that you clamp in here, and then you can hold it perfect. But on the last one, I had really good luck with just going like this. Not like that. Got to get it in the hole there. All right. Alright, now that looked a little more awkward than it had to, because I was trying to keep my arm out of the way of the camera, even though it probably didn't work. Alright, so just holding it's been working good for me. Like I said, you can buy one of these clamps and then you're guaranteed a little less stress. But I like the excitement of just holding it, eh? And it worked out good. Nice, flush, smooth. Can't ask for a better joint. When that glue dries up, that's going to be rock solid. All right, we'll get the rest of these screwed on here. So now we're up to the face frame part of it. Again, I'll do a little glue. The glue would come out easier if I take it in the house where it's warm. But it gets to be like 30 degrees or whatever. And glue flows a little slow at 30 degrees. Alright. So put these in there. And now when I'm doing flat ones, I have, well, I got a couple of them, but there's basically two styles Craig makes. My favorite one is the kind that's like a vice grip, okay? So you come in and you pretty much, you turn the knob on the end, you adjust it where you like it, and then you clamp it, alright? And that keeps these two boards perfectly in line. Then you got the automatic ones, which these are the deep reach ones, but you don't have to turn any knob. You just clamp it and it automatically adjusts itself. Alright, the face trim is done, or whatever the proper term is for it. Now I take my, the part that's going to butt up against the window, and I drill pocket holes, if that shows up, about every foot. And in the corners, obviously. I don't know if that's a little overkill, but it's what I've been doing here. Alright, we flop her down. Now, you can't be expecting an absolute perfect fit if you're buying standard boards. I mean, I think these are number 3 or better. So, they're not perfectly straight. Some of them have warp, chips, big knots, you know, all off kilter. So, usually what I do is I'll move this thing around here. And we make sure that my measurements were roughly right on. And we kind of even, if there's gonna be like one corner's off because the board's twisted, well, I will start in one corner and I'll work and I'll force it to where I want it to be, where it's flush and looks the best, right? And if I'm off a little bit, well, that's what sanding's for. All right, so now basically, I just start screwing this thing down. I got all these pocket holes. Should I start in this corner? Let me get her lined up here. Make sure I'm not pulling that over. All right. That's reasonable. Yeah, that's reasonable right there. We'll tack that. Oh, she walked over a little as I was tightening her. So, and if it does that, because you don't want to force it over, right? Not on your first screw, you got to screw the whole thing up. So, like if that screw's wanting to push, then what I'll do is I'll move one to anchor it so she can't push. So I'll screw this bad boy in. Now, this guy, she's really got to apply a lot of pressure if she wants to push that board over. There we go. And I got a thin bead of glue all along here, just for a little extra strength when it's done. Might be overkill, but it's what I'm doing. I'll get the rest of these screws in, and I'll show you what she's looking like. Alright, once we get her all screwed down, we flip her up, check it out, see what it looks like. I'll bring you in for a closer look. Alright, as we lean in here, you can see there's a little bit of a lip on this one corner. The rest of it, pretty darn good. Alright, so basically this lip here, what I'll do is I'll start out with maybe some 60 grit, then go to 120 and 220 and just sand it so it's perfectly smooth. You know, not a big deal. And as I scoped around here, you'll notice there's a little bit of glue sticking there. All right. So now this is to the point where it's dry. Let me set you down here. All right, let's see if you can see that. All right, now, obviously I'd like to use a bigger chisel, but this is the chisel I got here. Once the glue reaches like a semi-hardness, man, it's pretty easy to take off of there like this. And this is the preferred method if you got glue squeeze out versus wiping it when it's wet. But like on this, it's not such a big deal because I'm going to be painting it. But there, I just figured I'd show you using a little chisel, getting some of that glue off of there. Alright, now here in this corner, I had a little bit, the board had bark on the edge. It was a little uneven. So basically, I just put some plastic wood filler in there. And I'm letting that dry. And you can gob it up so it's like higher than the surrounding boards because you're going to sand it anyhow. So, figured I was going to let the glue dry on this probably for an hour before I sanded her down. But I got another frame to build, so I'll get cracking on that one. And then I'll round the edges because I don't really like the sharp edges. So I'll round the edges and sand it, and I'll show you that. All right, there it is, ready to throw in the back of the truck and take up north to install. Now, it's not absolutely perfect. There might be a little sanding left to do. But I found on a project this big, you know, you can't be obsessive compulsive about everything. Sometimes you just got to get stuff as good as you can get it reasonably. You know, I still aim to do everything the best I can, but you got to be reasonable. Otherwise, you get stuck in quicksand on the simplest things, and it takes way longer than it should. So this I'm happy with. I have 3 completed. I have 1 more to go, and then I can go to bed, and tomorrow I get to drive up north and start installing these. All right, the last one for the end wall, I'm trying some cedar live edge here. I'll show you how I get that measured up. All right, so basically I cut a 45. This will be the bottom, right? So cut a 45. I pocket hold it, screwed it on, and now, whoa, you bang the camera. But I'm gonna set this on my little workbench here. Easier said than done. All right, so I'm gonna set that on there. I'm gonna line this so the inside corners are all lined up. Again, being reasonable. Let me turn you so you can see here. I already kind of drew a line on it. But basically what I do, I line up to one side, because otherwise the measuring, because this is the bark side of the cedar tree, right? So it's wavy, it's not all going to be the same thickness. So I need this to line up with the inside of my inside frame, right? So basically once I get that lined up, and it's lined up on the other corner, then I draw my line, which I already have done. But after I drew my line where this board is going to meet this board exactly, I was able to draw my line on this board and cut the other 45. And now all I got to do is stick pocket holes in and my little bit of glue, and I can screw this board onto this one, and voila, no tape measure, no complication, just a little eyeballing and screw it on. All right, let's take one look at her. This is the live edge window trim I did. I kind of like it. It's northern white cedar on the outside, white pine on the inside. I milled all these on the property and brought them home, planed them and straightened them and everything else, and I think they look pretty good. Basically I wanted to try something different. It's going to be on the end wall, which is going to be kind of like my artsy wall, if you want to say that. So this will look good there. And I had to have one that was all from the property. The reason I didn't do them all is it's so cheap. I mean, at under 10 bucks a frame, you know, how can you go wrong when it's under 10 bucks and it goes together really quick? You know, this, I had a fair amount of time straightening and cutting them down because they were 1 inch thick. I had to bring them down to 3/4. But anyhow, there it is. I think it looks cool, and hopefully you get to see her installed later in the video here. A few things I got to do. I got a crack there. I got to try and clamp that and glue it. But other than that, it's time to load up. And there's so many projects I got going on. And, well, I guess I'll just show you instead of talking about it. All right, next time I turn the camera on, I'll be up in Michigan. All right, the moment of truth. Let's see if these window frames fit. Now, I cut them a 1/4 inch smaller all the way around than the hole. So, they should fit. Boy, they're tight though. Okay, what do we got going here? We got an issue. Houston, we've got a problem. Oh, there we go. All right. One fits. Just like downtown. All right, so now I'm going to nail them in. I got 2-inch nails. Wow, there's like 0 wiggle room there. I don't think they're going to require very many nails. And every nail I put in is a nail I have to putty. Alright. That seems reasonable. I did 3 on that one. Alright. Now the top. We're nice and tight. Alright, let's take a look at this window frame here. Not too bad. Now you may notice there's a little bit of gap here, right? Now the reason I did that is because for whatever reason, there's not much of a gap up here, and this is the same width all the way around. I noticed that when I measured it, but there ain't nothing I can do to fix that now. So that is what it is. So basically, when I designed these, I built them small enough, well, the thickness I needed where it'd be close up here and maybe a little off down here. But my fix for that is I'm going to use 1/4 round trim, which I don't have with me. But basically there's going to be 1/4 round trim nailed in. Alright, so that's my fix for that. Alright, let's see if number 2 fits. This is my diagonal frame. Of course, it helps you pile a bunch of scrap in front of the window. Come on, baby. Whoa, just like downtown. All right. Well, I'm going to call the make at home and bring up here window frames a success. I'll nail this one in and the other one in. I'll show you what it looks like. And before I can do the grand level one that has the live edge, I obviously have to finish part of that wall. But we got another project we're working on here, and that'll be another video. It's a little wood stove. So I got to get working on installing that. But first things first, I'll get these 3 window trims nailed up and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, here's the window trims all installed. I don't think they look too bad. Here's the live edge one. I kind of like that one. That's my wife's favorite too. So basically I got a few more boards up on the wall. Got some insulation going all the way to the ceiling so we can finish that wall. And if you look at my hands, I obviously wasn't in here working most of the time. I was out cutting trees. So I got enough boards to finish this after it's wired and insulated. But fortunately my wife's up here this weekend. So she was working on hearth, what do you call that, underneath the wood stove? But she tiled a little spot for our wood stove. Got a little stand on some cement board. It's coming along pretty good. We're gonna wrap the edges with metal. And then on the back, I'm not quite sure yet. We're still up in the air. But there, that's my video on doing window frames. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.